So, Mr. Deputy Secretary, thank you so much for joining us here today at AEM's inaugural celebration of construction of the National Mall. You've seen some of the exhibits, you've learned a little bit about the technology that powers all of this great equipment. What are some of the takeaways? What did you learn?
Well, thank you first for inviting me to this celebration of construction. I've learned so much about what the companies are actually doing all across the country. It's all a part of the President's vision for driving manufacturing back into the U.S. so that we can power our way through the 21st century. So clearly, American companies are innovating, they're creating jobs and leading the way for this revitalization of manufacturing.
Yeah, and you mentioned the President's vision, and obviously this administration has been a tremendous champion of equipment manufacturing and manufacturing as a whole. Could you talk to me a little bit about what policies are needed to continue to bolster American manufacturing?
Well, it's a great question. We're going to continue to power through all the things that the President has been pushing since he ran for office a few years ago. We've passed the infrastructure law, the American Rescue Plan, the CHIPS and Science Act, and now the Inflation Reduction Act. All of these big pieces of legislation are meant to help drive revitalization of American innovation, American manufacturing. We're going to see investment all across the country in infrastructure, investment in the types of innovation through the CHIPS Act, and through the Inflation Reduction Act that's making all of our industries more environmentally sound. All those things are going to mean that our companies, U.S. companies, are going to be able to outcompete the rest of the world, and we're making U.S. investment into communities, investment into infrastructure, the way that we help to support these companies as they do this great work.
Oh, and that's great to hear, and obviously that speaks to the importance of equipment manufacturing and manufacturing as a whole. Could you talk to me a little bit about how you see this part of our economy fitting in to the future success of America as a whole? Why should we continue to invest in manufacturing?
Well, we know that when American manufacturing goes away, as we saw 20, 30, 40 years ago, it means that the U.S. can't be competitive with the rest of the world. We lose those jobs, and you can lose those jobs forever. But these investments right now are going to allow us to outcompete the rest of the world. They're bringing tens of thousands of jobs back to the U.S. In fact, we've seen almost 1 million new jobs in manufacturing since the President took office. So it's critical that we make these investments now, but the types of investments that we're also making are going to drive innovation, as I've said. It's making sure that we're on the cutting edge so that our companies and the equipment that we're making is better than the rest of the world, and that we're competing in those industries that we've been absent from for decades.
Yeah, well said. Final question for you. What if you had one message for young men and women, and maybe women in particular, who are looking to explore careers in manufacturing? What would that message be?
Well, we know that the U.S. workforce of today isn't ready to take on the jobs that are coming, meaning that we need to invest in workforce development and the training programs that will allow us to have our young men and women all across the country to be able to take these jobs that are coming. It's not just the jobs that are here now. The other thing is we know that we're going to need thousands, tens of thousands of new jobs in a whole range of industries. Take, for example, construction. Right now, there are about 1 million women in construction all across the country. But we know that we need at least 200,000 new construction jobs just for the types of investments that we're making in the CHIPS and Science Act through things like the CHIPS program. What that means is that we need a whole raft of people to come into an industry that is really high-paying jobs, family-sustaining jobs. So that's why the Secretary and I are committed to doubling the number of women that are going to be in construction. We have an initiative, Women in Construction Initiative, that will grow us from the 1 million that we have right now to 2 million in the next decade. That will ensure that we have the number of people in these jobs that we need to be able to power the country forward, and also so that women, which make up less than 10% of construction jobs right now, are able to actually get these great paying jobs, family sustaining jobs that will help keep the country moving forward.
Well, Mr. Deputy Secretary, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. So good to be with you.
Thank you.